Today I'm gonna talk about the worst job I have ever had, ever. Like, literally. I used to work as a debt collector, and it's collections. I mean, it has its ups and its downs. The money is great, yeah, but you deal with a lot of rude people, a lot of consumers who are angry because you're calling their phone, and just a lot of negative stuff, like people calling you out your name, cursing at you, just whatever. But you learn to deal with it, to suck it up, and just like have tough skin. This place that I worked for, it was a company where they literally felt like they owned you. They felt like they controlled your life. They could tell you what to do, when to do it. I had a coworker who won a contest at our company, and she won tickets to the Texas game. She's not interested in sports, so she decided to give her tickets to our manager. Someone snitched on her and told the vice president of the company, who went to her, pulled her to the office, and was like, I heard you giving your tickets away to such and such. And she said, yeah, because she's not a sports fan, and that's not something she's interested in. So he was like, let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to go to the game, you're going to take a selfie, and you're going to email it to me. Do you understand? And she was like, excuse me, you own me from 8 o'clock to 4:30. What I do after that is my business. And she was like, I'm not going. I don't want to go. You can't tell me what to do. She was like, so you can either let me give the tickets to such and such, or you could give it to the next runner up. And so that's what he ended up doing. And I had another coworker who was pregnant, and I guess she was going through a hard time with her pregnancy or whatever, but she was sick a lot, and she had to keep she would leave work early to go to the doctor, or whatever, or she wouldn't come into work because something happened the night before and she was rushed to the hospital or whatever. So they ended up firing her because of it, and she showed them like doctor's notes to prove it, but they still didn't care at all. They fired her, they let her go, and they ended up getting a lawsuit because she sued them because she had proof that she was sick. I got in trouble because a consumer was flirting with me on the phone. I get to work one morning, it was a Friday morning, and I'm getting ready to get a payment from this person, and one of the managers come up to me and is like, they need you right now in the office, so I'll finish up on the call for you. So I went to the office, I said good morning to the vice president. He's like, have a seat. Seeming all serious. I'm like, okay, what's wrong with him? So my manager came in, my manager's manager came in, and another team manager came in. And that I brought you in here is because you were completely inappropriate on the phone with one of the consumers. You were flirting with him and everything. And he took his glasses off and he threw it. And he's like, so I'm going to give you a moment to explain yourself. You was talking about you were from Michigan, and you were asking him where his grandmother's land was in Michigan and stuff. That is unprofessional and blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to give you a moment to explain yourself. Call wasn't even like that. I was like, you guys, he called in because we called him, and I told him who we're looking for and who we were. He said he was not that person. I tried to start probing, but I couldn't because he started asking me questions and started flirting with me. I was in the position what do I do? Because I could not get him off the phone at all. He just kept talking. It wasn't even like that. You guys say don't hang up on people or we're gonna get fired. So it was what do I do? He started talking about you were saying you were from Michigan. Who cares you're from Michigan and all that stuff. So he was like, we're gonna listen to the phone call. And he had called the person who sent him the call and told them to email it to him. And he waited a few minutes, 2 minutes, and checked his email again. The guy didn't email him. So he called him again. He was like, where are you at? Did you email it to me? He was like, no, I'm not at my desk. And he was like, where are you? Are you outside smoking a cigarette? Guy was like, yeah. He was like, well, I hope it's a good ass cigarette. Get to your desk and send me the phone call right now. The guy went to his desk and emailed it to the manager, the vice president of the company, and then everybody in there listened to the phone call. So one by one, he went to everyone and asked them like what their thoughts were. He asked them what their thoughts were about the phone call. So we had one lady, she said, oh, the call was just completely inappropriate. That was unprofessional. My manager was like, he felt bad for me. He felt like I was setting myself up because he heard nothing but positive stuff, and he saw how much I was getting payments and how much money I was bringing into the company, and I could have been on a phone call with someone else who was willing to pay. And my manager was like, I know Raven's personality and everything, but the call was a complete waste of time. And I agree, the call was a complete waste of time. But at the same time, if I can't like get somebody off the phone and they keep on talking to me and I'm trying my best and I'm staying professional and doing everything, like, what am I to do? What am I to do? Like, it's not like there was any manager sitting at their desk to give the phone call to them or anything, because they just didn't care. There's so many times like we would get payments and a manager is nowhere to be found, or a manager is like, I'm busy right now, go get this person to take the payment, or they'll act like they don't hear you, like, such and such, can you come do this payment for me? Such and such, can you come get this payment? And it was irritating because they are so lazy that they didn't want to do it. Let me tell you how this phone call went. Ring, ring, ring. Hello, thank you for calling. This is Raven. How may I help you? Yeah, I just got a phone call from this number. Who are you calling for? And I was like, oh yes, we were calling for such and such. And he's like, you have the wrong number. Who is this calling? And I was like, my name is Raven. I'm calling from such and such. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, what is that? And I was like, well, we handle personal business matters on behalf of our clients. He was like, what type of personal matters? Is this like a dating service or something? I was like, no, we handle personal business matters on behalf of our clients. Unfortunately, I can't go into full details on what it's about unless I verify that you are this person that we're calling for. But do you know who this person is? And he's like, no, I don't know who that is. You have the wrong number. So he was like trying to get to know me, and he was asking me like where I was calling from, like the state, and I told him I was calling from Texas, and he was asking me how the weather was, and I told him, and he was telling me like I should move up north, and I told him that I am originally from Michigan. I had just moved to Texas, and he was like, oh, okay. And he was telling me that his grandmother owned some land in Michigan, and I was like, oh, where? And he said he doesn't remember. He will have to check with her about that. And I was like, oh, okay. And so he was like, he started telling me some stuff. I don't remember what he was saying to me, but I remember I leaned over and I told my coworker, I was like, and she was like, just make sure you stay professional. And I was like, I am. And so I was like, okay, sir, well, it was nice talking to you. I hope that you have a great, and he just kept talking and like kept like, I don't know what he was talking about. And then he was like, so Miss Raven, can we talk? And I was like, the line is recorded. He was like, so I don't care. And I was like, and I'm not trying to lose my job. And he was like, oh, okay, well, we don't want you to lose your job. Well, it was nice talking to you, Raven, and I hope that you have a great day or whatever. And that's how we ended the phone call. So this phone call was about like 4 to 5 minutes long. And everyone pretty much just thought that the call wasn't even that big of a deal. Like my manager and my manager and my manager knew that it wasn't like that. It just felt like the call was a complete waste of time. But that other lady felt like it was just unprofessional and could have been differently. And I'm like, well, I kept trying to end the phone call. I was trying to probe, but he kept asking me questions. And you guys talk about, like, don't hang up on people. So what was I supposed to do? And the vice president of the company, he felt like I was running an over the phone dating service. That's what he told me. He said, I feel like you was running an over the phone dating service. I'm like, you are tripping. He ended up asking me why I moved to Texas. And I'm like, what, dang, am I not allowed to move to Texas? Like, dang. But I told him, I was like, because my parents went through a very messy divorce and they were married for a long time, and it just got ugly, and my mom needs to move. I told him the whole story of a summary of what happened. So I don't know if that's the reason I ended up keeping the job, whatever. But I got temporarily suspended. He didn't know whether to fire me or not. So he told me to go to my desk, get my purse, and then got escorted out the building. And I had to sit outside and wait till someone come pick me up because I didn't drive to work that day. All the days I usually drive to work, that was the one day I didn't drive to work. After that, I came in on Monday, and I ended up keeping the job after he talked to his wife about it, and my manager and my manager's manager, they all three of them like really had my back. And I didn't know his wife or anything, but she was telling him like it wasn't even like that. She doesn't think it was like that. He shouldn't have suspended me for that. And my manager was going for me, and I think the reason I kept the job, besides the simple fact that my parents was getting divorced and he may have felt like I needed the job, and on top of that, I felt like because they saw how much money I was bringing into the company, that's why I was able to keep the job. That's the main reason. Like, that was it. Like, that company was so unprofessional, and I just feel like you just don't care. And everybody was asking me like, what happened? What happened? Why you go to the office and stuff? Like, why'd you leave early? And I told them, and they're like, seriously, you got in trouble for that? Like, this is a freaking call center. People are going to flirt with you. Like, what were you supposed to do? And I mean, people was angrier than I was about getting in trouble and getting temporarily suspended. It was like, it wasn't even that big of a deal. They were tripping. They always trying to fire somebody. One of the ladies who was really, really angry by it, she had told me, she was like, you know what I think could be the issue? She was like, hearing it from a lawyer's point of view, you said the line is recorded and I'm not trying to lose my job. So they probably took it and ran with it. Like, what was you going to do? What would you do if the line wasn't recorded? And someone else was like, well, so that doesn't mean nothing, because just because they took it that way, that doesn't mean you meant it that way. Like, she could have just been saying, like, simply reminding him the line is recorded, and you telling him that you're not about to lose your job because of it, because of him. That's it. I'm getting in trouble again for like petty stuff, like, people, I'm calling someone, telling them they're dead, and they say, oh, we're going to mail in a payment. And I'm like, okay, I'm offering them a check by phone. And I kept suggesting for the end of the week or for whenever you have the funds for the end of the week. The guy's like, no, I'm going to mail my payment. I was like, okay, well, let's post that a credit card for whenever you have the funds available. He's like, no, I want to mail my payment. And when I give him the address to mail his payment in, I'm getting in trouble for that because they felt like I gave up too easily with that. Someone called in disputing their balance because they knew they owed money to the company, but it wasn't that much money. And he wasn't going to pay anything until that company that he owed money to figure out what they were going to do, because he's not paying them anything. So he said he's disputing it and he's not paying it. Then I get in trouble for that because they're like, why didn't you get a manager on the phone? Or, I feel like you gave up the call too easily. He knew he owed money. He wasn't disputing it. He said he was disputing it, but he never said that he was going to dispute it. I'm like, you make no sense. You just said he was disputing it, but then turn around and say he never said that. Like, what? Then tell somebody else to go finish that phone call and get the money out of him. Then, I reminded them that I was having surgery and that they were cool with me having surgery, but my recovery time was about 2 weeks, and they had an issue with that because I hadn't worked for the company for a year. And I'm like, well, this is health reasons why I'm getting it done. So I started getting in trouble a lot, and then more petty stuff started happening. I get in trouble for, so I said, forget it. Like, my health is more important than this doggone job. I don't need it. Yes, it's good money, but I am not desperate. My self-respect and my dignity is more important. Like, I have that. Like, I don't need this job. So I was very irritated, and I literally feel like you guys do when debt collectors like blow your phone up and stuff. Because I mean, I dealt with so much stuff there, like sitting on a phone call for 5 minutes and a dude going off at me, calling me everything but a child of God, just because we called him, we had the wrong number. And I mean, like, the stuff we go through, like, so much of your majority of your calls is people cussing at you and going off or hanging up on you. That's what you're dealing with. But I mean, they just don't care about their staff, and it's so annoying. Anyways, get mad thinking about it. So yeah, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up, and I'll talk to you all soon.